Welcome everyone, Michael Jacobzak here. Today is a special video because it's not too often I get to prove how lower commissions will affect the resale of your house or condo. Stay tuned, this is a real case study. Welcome everyone, Michael Jacobzak here, and today, like I said, it's a special video because we're actually doing a real life case study, what happened and how I can prove that lower commissions does affect your property. It's not too often that I talk about this a lot, but it's not too often I get something that's so similar that I can show you and prove what happened. So my slide here, I got property A on the left, property B on the right. List price for these properties are about $50,000 apart. And typically when we're listing, although we're set up for bidding wars, which is typical right now in Toronto's market, there's still some strategy that goes into when you list a property low based on what else is listed in the market. So, and what else is sold in the market based on how they listed. So it appears from the listed price, property B should sell for more for some reasons that we'll go through in a little bit. So the review date for both properties is on the property A was 2 weeks and property B was 1 week. Now, typically when you do a bidding war, it's 1 week. And the main reason is if you do 2 weeks, when you get all the traffic the first week, all of a sudden those properties, those buyers that are eager to buy, all of a sudden are waiting out another week, and they're in that time period, there's so much more property that could come out and drive that traffic away from your property. So typically you never want to see a 2 week period. Now both these properties, although we're set up for review dates, are both open to preemptive offers, which is basically a bully offer that you can come in at any time, submit an offer, and if it's high enough, the sellers will consider it. So the type of properties, these properties are both semi-detached. The lot size is very similar, and actually property A is a little bit bigger on the lot size. Now these properties are located within houses from each other, and they're virtually the same property, just different finishes and whatnot. So the bedrooms are both 2-1s, which is 2 full bedrooms and 1 extra room. Washrooms, property A actually has an extra full washroom, which is a big positive, along with a bigger lot just by a little bit for property A, which to me is great. Now both basements are finished. Now the condition, property A doesn't have as nice curb appeal versus property B. Property B was recently renovated, they did a good job. But property A, it's nice, it just at some point, the second washroom needs to be renovated and some work needs to be done to bring up the same standards as property B. Now the commission, let's talk about this. So when you're a buyer, you don't get to see this part. This is only for brokers and agents. But the commission on the buying side is, and that's the only commission we get to see as a buying agent. We get to see what's offered on the buying side. So on the buying side for property A was 2%, and on the buying side for property B was 2.5%. Now typical, it's standard in Toronto that it's 2.5%. So property A is actually marketed less commission. Now, that's a big no-no in my book. If you ever have a conversation with me, whether or not you sign up your agent, you sign your agent up for a lower commission, you always want to make sure it only affects their side of the commission. And the main reason is, although agents were supposed to show all our, criteria, all the properties that fit our buyers' criteria, it does affect some agents that don't show that property. And the main reason is, you can imagine working for a buyer for 6 months, a year, they haven't bought, finally this property comes up, it's perfect, and you see lower commission, you're like, oh, I'm getting short-ended on my deal. Unless I charge my client more money, which not gonna be too happy about that, it's gonna hurt them. So that's something you wanna keep in mind when you are talking to a listing agent and you are negotiating a lower commission. Where's that commission being affected? I would assume that property A probably signed up for like 3% or 3.5%. And property B, I would assume 5%, which is standard. 2.5 on the buying side, 2.5 on the selling side. So marketing typically will get affected when you sign up for lower commission. And it's seen as I walk through the properties. Because when I went through property A, it just had flyers done, like paper or Flyers done up on standard paper, pictures were faded. That's pretty much all that was there. There was on property B, nice brochures, a lot of information. They did a really good job on their marketing. And that's just the paper marketing. You don't know what's happening outside of, are they doing flyers and stuff like that? You don't know what's going on that side. It's just what I'm seeing. So the list date, these properties were both listed within the same time period. The property was listed 5 days before. So moving forward, we have property A on the left, property B on the right again. Both properties sold within the first week. Property A sold in 6 days, had 2 registered offers, and sold for $785, which based on list price, you would appear that they did really well, got well over ask. But anyone who follows the market and these types of properties in this area, which we won't discuss because at the end of the day, we don't need to air out other people's stuff. They have reasons for what they're doing. I hope it's a good reason, but at the end of the day, they sold for $785. Now, in my opinion, this property, based on comparables, should have had an 8 in front of it at very least. Could have went for low mid 8s and almost to mid 8s in general. Now, total commissions that they saved was $39.25. Well done. You saved $4,000 in your commissions paying it to an agent. But in my opinion, you lost over $50,000 plus of your money, not the agent's money, your money, which is, if I was a seller and once I found out what property B sold, which sold 3 days after being listed, had 4 registered offers, sold for $891. The extra cost of the commissions was $4,455. Wasn't a big expense, but at the end of the day, they ended up getting over $100,000 more. Now, in today's market, you would say, well, this property was nicer, better curb appeal. In theory, you had an extra washroom, you had a bigger lot. If I spent even $50,000 in property A, I would have got more money than property B. And that's even if I'm spending $50,000. I could have spent less. I'm an active flipper. I know where money should be spent. To me, the question, did lower commissions have anything to do with property A selling for less? Yes, it did. And this is a clear example because I'll tell you right now, in the market right now, we have properties that are selling that are renovated, and a week later, a property that's not renovated needs a lot of work selling for more money because inventory is so low and buyers are anxious to get into properties and they're losing it out non-stop. We ended up losing out on both these properties. Property A, we put our offer in. To me, we do analyze properties in terms of, hey, if it's lower commissions, that means to me the agent might be a pushover, or at some point may not be getting the exposure that we can get a deal on this property. We came in, and for reasons of what happened behind the scenes with this property, which I won't disclose, my buyer got so annoyed that we actually pulled out before the final review time, which then they needed to lean on the second buyer. And which is why they ended up with $785. They thought that was a good deal based on 2 offers coming in that were very, very close to each other. And property B we lost out on just because we maxed out our offer. We were definitely in the high 8s, but at the end of the day, someone stepped up to the plate and the money wasn't there. So congratulations on property A, whoever bought that property. They did really well, in my opinion. But guys, this is a prime example what you need to be careful of when you're selling a property. It's not always what you're paying on commission, it's what you're getting, your bottom dollar, what's going into your pocket. Guys, like, share, comment. I look forward to looking on the next one. If you're looking to list, give me a shout. I can have the conversation with you based on what's going on in the market, where you need to be, and if you need any renovations to maximize your dollar, guys. Like I said, Michael Jacobczak here. We'll catch you on the next one. Take care.